Welcome to this first presentation in our three-part webinar series of what you need to know for college. Our first presentation is on applying for college. My name is Gladys Sanchez. I am the NC Works WIO Title I Youth Career Advisor. I head the Title I Youth Program here in Pender County, and I can talk a little bit about that if anybody has questions about what I do and how we can assist you with applying to college and perhaps paying for college as well. So we're going to go ahead and jump in. And we're going to, first, I want to do a presentation overview. And these are the things that we're going to discuss during this presentation. So number one, we're going to discuss steps to submitting a college application, colleges in North Carolina that you can apply to, creating your college accounts, college entrance requirements, your Residency Determination Service, also known as RDS, submitting your college application, transcripts, FAFSA, placement testing, and questions at the end. So first, how to apply to a college in North Carolina. This is really important. The very first step you need to take is creating your college accounts. The two main accounts that are used in North Carolina for students are CFNC, College Foundation of North Carolina, and commonapp.org. If you are planning to attend only a community college, you only need a cfnc.org account. If you are planning to attend a four-year school in North Carolina, you would want to create a Common App account as well as a CFNC account. You want to then complete your RDS on the CFNC website. Residency Determination Service is a pretty brand new system that was implemented a couple of years ago, around 2016. And now, in order to qualify for in-state tuition, you need to submit your application on RDS to make sure that you are eligible for in-state tuition. After completing your Residency Determination Service, you want to go ahead and work and submit your college application. After submitting your college application, you want to make sure that your high school transcript has been submitted to your college. And then lastly, but not necessarily the last thing you should do, you can do this simultaneously as you are working on other things. You need to complete your FAFSA. FAFSA is the free application for student aid. And after, you need to complete placement testing. Placement testing will typically take place only about a few weeks before school actually starts. So if you're going to school in the fall, your placement testing may be over the summer. And then lastly, you want to meet with an academic advisor to schedule your classes, whether this is at your orientation or whether this is when you have started your classes, but you want to make sure you meet with an academic advisor to ensure that you are taking the right classes. These steps can vary from college to college. Some of these things you don't have to do for certain colleges, but some you do have to do for others. So now we're going to discuss what kind of colleges we have in here in North Carolina. In North Carolina, we have 58 community colleges that you can choose from. And we also have 16 public four-year colleges and universities. These 16 public colleges are part of the UNC system schools. They include UNC Greensboro, UNC Chapel Hill, UNCW, and a couple of others. North Carolina Promise, this is really important. A lot of people don't really know about this program, but Western Carolina University, Elizabeth City State University, and UNC Pembroke, they offer the North Carolina Promise tuition. And so their tuition is fixed at $500 per semester. And so this makes these three colleges very affordable for students across North Carolina. And then there are also 36 independent four-year colleges and universities. These colleges you may have heard of, for example, Campbell is private, Duke is private, and there's several others across North Carolina that you can choose from that are private. So we want to talk about applying to college. Number one, you want to create a cfnc.org account or a Common App account. On the left side, you can see the CFNC homepage as well as the Common App homepage. It should give you an option at the very top to create a new account. If you are currently a high school student or have graduated high school in North Carolina in the maybe last 5 to 10 years, you should have a CFNC account created by your high school. If you do not have access to your CFNC account, please ask your school or try to reset your password on your own. but most students in North Carolina should have access to these accounts already. Common App, you'll need to create a Common App account if you're applying to a four-year school, because there's schools, four-year public schools such as NC State and Chapel Hill that require a Common App application and they prefer that over a CFNC application because of the essay requirements. And with Common App, you want to make sure that you're using a personal Gmail, not your school email, not an unprofessional email, but just a regular, let's say Gmail. And so if you don't have one of those already, you want to create one. That way you can utilize that email for all of the information that you're going to be receiving from your college. So when is the best time to start your college application? If you plan to attend school, let's say next month, you want to go ahead and do it now. And that's especially for anybody who is trying to go to, let's say, Cape Fear Community College or Brunswick or James Brunt. You want to go ahead and submit your application now. If you plan to attend school, whether it's a 2-year community college or a 4-year school in next fall 2021, then you also want to start your college application now. The earlier you get it in, the earlier you're able to start the process of transitioning into college. I did include some deadlines for 4-year public schools. A lot of the early decision deadlines have already passed, but there's still an opportunity to apply to these colleges via regular decision. And so I've only included a few, but if you look up the specific college and their deadlines, you should be able to find that date. For NC State and Chapel Hill, that's January 15th. That's your last chance to apply to those schools. UNCW is February 1st. UNC Charlotte is February 15th. East Carolina University is April 1st, and UNC Pembroke is July 15th. And so next, we want to talk about college entrance requirements. This is super, super important. If you are planning to go to a 4-year college, you must have these following requirements. You must have a 2.5 minimum GPA from your high school. You must have an 880 SAT score or a 17 ACT composite. And you also must have 2 levels of foreign language. So let's break this down a little bit more. Let's say you took the ACT your junior year in high school. If you scored a 16, you do need to retest and try to see if you can improve your score. And likewise, if maybe you didn't do so well on the ACT, you can try the SAT and see if that test, if that's a test that you prefer over the ACT. And so if you do not have those scores, then you are not able to apply to a 4-year public college in North Carolina. Those are mandated scores that are set by the state. And then your 2 levels of foreign language, Spanish 1, Spanish 2 will suffice it, French 1, French 2, or any other levels of, or 2 levels of any other foreign language that you have taken at your school. To attend a community college, there's definitely less requirements. You really just need to make sure that you graduate high school, that you submit your high school transcript. And if you do have SAT or ACT test scores, that can help you with your placement exams into entry-level math or entry-level English into community college. So not many requirements there. And then after you've spent 2 years at community college, you have the option to transfer into a 4-year university. So now we want to talk specifically more about Residency Determination Service and what is required whenever you submit this application. So Residency Determination Service is associated with CFNC, College Foundation of North Carolina. And in order to submit your RDS, you will need your personal identifying information as well as your parents' personal identifying information if you still reside with them. So for example, you'll need your name, your social security number, your date of birth, your driver's license number if you have one. If you've submitted your tax returns for the past 2 years, it'll just be a simple question of yes or no. And it'll ask the exact same information for your parents as well. For your parents, apart from their social security number, date of birth, their names, it'll also ask them about their employment and a driver license as well if they have one. If you have any kind of other special circumstance when submitting your RDS, Let's say you live with one parent and sometimes you live with another parent in a different state, or anything that's special circumstance. Maybe your parents don't have Social Security. The RDS system will walk you through each special circumstance as you go through it. So anything that you put on the RDS, it'll shift it to where you can provide additional or extra information in order to complete your RDS. For example, if your parent doesn't have a Social Security number, they can insert their I-10 number. And other information that you can provide are W-2s, high school transcripts, but that is only if it's required. The RDS application should only take you about 10 minutes. It's not very long as long as you have all the information that you need in front of you. After you've submitted your RDS on cfnc.org, it'll process or generate a number, RCN number. You need that number in order to submit your college applications. Colleges need to know if you were in-state or out-of-state categorized by RDS. If you were in-state categorized, then you will be able to receive in-state tuition. After you've completed RDS, then you can begin working on your college applications. And you can do this again, like I said, on Common App or on CFNC. And like I mentioned previously, if you are planning to go to school in January, starting next year, then you want to go ahead and submit your college applications now. If you plan to go in the fall of 2021, then you also want to submit your applications now because some of those deadlines for four-year schools are upcoming. And while community college is open enrollment and rolling decisions, it's still important to go ahead and get your college applications for a community college in order to prepare for your transition. If you are applying to a four-year school, this is really important. You want to check to see if you need a letter of recommendation from a teacher or from an employer. You want to submit an essay if your college is requiring you to write an essay. And then you also need to submit your test scores, SAT or ACT, because remember, you need to have an 880 on the SAT or a 17 on your ACT. So those are 3 extra things that you need to think about when you're applying to a four-year schools: letters of rec, an essay, and then your test scores. So now we are moving on to requesting your transcript. Requesting your high school transcript is very important because the colleges that you're applying to need to see your grades and any other information that they need from your transcript in order to accept you and enroll you into the college. If you attended a Pender County high school, there is an actual website where you can go and submit your records request. There is I think a $5 to $10 fee when requesting your high school transcript if you are no longer in high school. If you're currently a senior in high school who's applying to college, then requesting your transcript is free. And you can request your transcript for free on cfnc.org. So whenever you finish your college application, whether it's on CFNC, whether it's on Common App, you need to make sure that you go back to CFNC and request your high school transcript. But if you are out of high school and you're thinking of going back to college, then you do need to submit a records request through the Pender County High School's website, Pender County Schools, and also pay for that. If you did not attend a school in Pender County, then you need to visit your high school's website to see where you can request your transcript. Lastly, your FAFSA. So now we've completed our RDS, we've submitted our college applications, and we've requested our high school transcript. We've done all the things that we need to do, and really the last thing that we need to do is the FAFSA. If you want to go to college and receive some kind of federal financial aid, you must complete the FAFSA. There are a lot of questions and myths about the information that one provides on the FAFSA. But it is also important to know that any information that you provide on the FAFSA is protected within the U.S. Department of Education, and it's not shared with any other governmental agency. And so when you submit your FAFSA based on your income or based on your parents' income, you'll know if you qualify for any kind of federal aid. Federal student aid programs include the Pell Grant, student loans, and a college work-study program. The Pell Grant for next year, if you are eligible for the maximum amount, it will be around $6,345. And each year that amount keeps increasing, but as well, tuition prices also increase yearly. So you can be eligible for the Pell Grant. You can also be eligible for student loans. And with student loans, you can be eligible for a subsidized or an unsubsidized loan. There is a difference. Subsidized loans are better loans than the unsubsidized ones. And I will dive more into FAFSA and loans and other types of financial aid in our next webinar series. So stay tuned for that. But just know for this moment that if you do qualify for a loan, subsidized loans are much better. And lastly, college work study programs. College work study programs is basically a program that you can do at your college and you can work on campus. And that money that you earn goes straight to you. And you can utilize that money for books or any other payments that you need to make to the school, or you can use it for pizza or any other kind of expenses that you have. But the college work study program is great if you qualify. I would definitely take advantage of that. And so what do you need to complete your FAFSA or to start and complete your FAFSA? You want to first create an FSA ID for yourself. So that's the number one. You don't want to go onto FAFSA.gov and start your application and put in information if you don't have an ID. An ID login is the way that FAFSA is going to be able to verify your identity, and then you're going to be able to sign off on your FAFSA. Every student does need an FSA ID. But not necessarily your parents. If your parents do have a social security number, then they do need to make an FSA ID. That way, it'll be easy for them to sign on their FAFSA. If your parents don't have a social security number, then they will need to submit a signature page on your behalf in order to complete your FAFSA. But every student does need to have an FSA ID. If you are a DACA student or are undocumented, then you are not able to apply for the FAFSA, and you will need to rely on other types of financial aid in order to go to college. And so the last thing, once you've created those FSA IDs, then you can start your FAFSA application. The FAFSA application will again run through your personal information, your name, your social, your date of birth, and then it'll ask you about if you've worked in the past year or in the past 2 years. It'll ask you about your income and several other questions. One advice that I have when completing the FAFSA, and this is really important, is if you think you're not really sure what it's asking or you don't really think it applies for you, 9 times out of 10, it does not apply to you. And so really you can just skip it. There's several questions in the FAFSA that ask about really specific situations. And so if you just are like, oh, I don't think this applies to me, most likely it doesn't. So I would not second guess your thinking. And then you can submit your FAFSA. So if you want to go to school for next year, fall 2021, then you will submit the 2021-2022 school year FAFSA. If you're planning to go to college in January, then you need to backtrack and do the 2020-2021 FAFSA because that's the current school year that we are in. But make sure that you're submitting your 2021-2022 FAFSA for next school year, utilizing your 2019 tax information. I think that pretty much covers our presentation today. I did want to now allow time, or actually, no, I apologize. Placement testing is our last thing that we want to talk about. So placement testing is, it varies from college to college. So for example, let's say that you did not do so well on your English 3 or your English 4 exam in high school. You'll most likely be requested to take a placement test at the community college in order to see if you're eligible for the entry-level math or entry-level English, or if you can enter in just normal math courses and normal English classes at the community college. Placement testings can be substituted by your ACT or your SAT score at the community college. If you're taking placement testings for a 4-year school, those take place in the summer, right before you enter college. And those placements tests can be for foreign language, it can be for math, they can be for science or English. And again, that is very dependent on your college. So some colleges may not require you to do placement testing, but some might. So you want to make sure that you're checking your email regularly, if not daily, in order to make sure that you're keeping up with all the tasks required for college and before you enroll in college. At the very bottom of the presentation, I did put the Cape Fear Community College placement test requirements, so you can check that out. And now there is time for questions. If there are any questions that maybe I did not answer or you would just like more explanations on, feel free to put them in the chat.
So I actually have a couple questions for you.
Yes.
And for anybody who's listening, I'm Shannon. I am the Adult Services and Teen Services Library and Associate Person here at the Burgos Public Library. Can you tell me more about the NC Promise tuition?
Yes.
And how that program works?
So the NC Promise tuition was something that was started by the state of North Carolina, the General Assembly, and they decided that they wanted to have some schools be more affordable to students in North Carolina. And so they started it with Western Carolina, Elizabeth City State, and UNC Pembroke. So generally, your tuition will be $1,000 for the school year, $500 per semester, but that doesn't include necessarily your books, your room and board, or your fees. It's just tuition. But compared to other schools, other four-year schools, tuition can be up to $5,000, $6,000 a year versus $1,000 at these three schools. And so if you are eligible for the program, which any student is eligible for this program, and they do, I think we'll need to provide information about their FAFSA when submitting, when applying to these schools.
Okay, awesome. And then I wanted to clarify, because at the beginning of the discussion, you said that if you were applying to a 2-year college, you only needed to submit, was it the Common App, or did you need, or your CFNC program? Which one did you need to do for 2-year and which one for 4 years?
So for a 2-year school, a community college, you only need to have a CFNC account. Okay. If you are applying to a 4-year school, then you do need to have a CFNC account and a Common App account, because if you're a high school student and you're submitting your Common App application, let's say to UNCW, you still need to request that transcript. And so that transcript can only be requested on CFNC for free. So you do need to have both accounts. As well as with your CFNC, that's where you go and do your RDS. So for 4-year schools, you need to have both accounts. But for community college, it's a one-stop center. You can submit your transcript on there, you can submit your college application, and you can do your RDS all on CFNC.
Awesome. So, and then for 2-year school, you still need to do your RDS.
Yes.
Okay, that's a must do no matter what.
Everybody who is going to college needs to have an RDS done.
Okay, fantastic. And then how does rolling enrollment with the community colleges work? So they do admissions every semester?
Yes. With the community college, if you're interested in going to school, let's say in January, and you want to start your 2-year program, or you want to go to school for vocational trade like welding or diesel mechanics, that you can start mid-year. So you can start in January. Typically, 4-year schools don't allow you to enter in the spring semester, but some do. It just depends, and you'd have to research with the specific university that you're interested in. But yes, there's basically open enrollment every semester at community college.
Okay, fantastic. And then what's the difference between a federal loan and a private student loan?
So federal loans typically have better interest rates. And if you qualify for them, that's the one that you would want to take out. Private loans, those are loans that you can take out at your bank. And they typically may not have the best rates, but maybe they do. So you do want to investigate both. You want to investigate your private loans and your federal loans and see which loan will give you the best interest rate. With the federal loans, though, there's more leeway to pay your loans after you graduate college, versus with private loans, you may be required to pay them as you are in college.
Okay. Now, will my FAFSA application tell me if I qualify for federal and private loans, or only federal?
Your FAFSA application will only tell you if you're eligible for federal loans.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. I don't think I have any more questions.
Okay. We did have someone in the chat say, what about 2-year college? Can you clarify what your question is in regard to 2-year college? And if there's no more questions, that is the end of our presentation. I will talk just for a few minutes about our WIOA Title I youth program. So our WIOA Title I youth program is a program here in Pender County that is for individuals between the ages of 16 and 24. If you fall within that age range and you have certain barriers in your life that are preventing you from gaining employment, or gaining employment in a field of your interest, or wanting to go back to school, then feel free to contact me. For example, if you are a young parent between this age and you're looking to go back to school but can't because you don't have enough funds to pay for a daycare center, that's something that we can support you with. We can support you with funds for going back to school, as well as your childcare cost or transportation costs. And then with pre-employment, we can help you with your resume, give you career advice, do mock interviews, and we can also place you with employers in the local area in a field of your interest. So we've had people in the past do a work experience placement with teams with several employers in heating and air, in daycare and education. And so some of those experiences are really beneficial to our participants who are looking to take a next step forward into their career, and just making it just a simpler process for people to be able to go back to work or go back to school. So if you are interested in our program, feel free to contact me. My information is on the Pender County Library Facebook page, and you can find us also on Facebook, NC Works Cape Fear Next Gen. And that is all. Thank you for your time.